Is that what's happening? It's loading. Woohoo! Okay, I think we lost your friend, but she's coming. All right, we are live on YouTube. There's probably like 5 people watching us, so stress not. And I'm also really glad that this is girls only, because now we are, aside from being on TV, we're going to be comfortable with sharing all of our IP when I do this. So I think everyone knows me. I'm Shauna. Why I am comfortable coaching this, I have my bachelor's in kinesiology, and then I'm working on my master's. And pelvic floor stuff is just, it's fascinating to me. And it's also something, I run a women's only CrossFit company, and I coach CrossFit. And it's, these muscles are really important to us, especially because we make babies. So that is who I am. And then what we're going to talk about over the next 80 minutes, we're going to do a self-assessment. So we're going to do a test retest. We're going to talk about what you guys are experiencing with breathing and your pelvic floors. We're going to do some movement, some squats and some bear crawl holds, and you'll feel what your pelvic floor feels like. And then we're going to go through some anatomy. We're going to go through what we're doing in CrossFit and how our pelvic floors affect how we train. We're going to talk about core activation. And then we're going to talk about how to approach once we figure out where our strengths and weaknesses lie. And then we're going to talk about how our damn hormones affect all of it. And then we'll finish with Q&A. Cool? Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do, everybody here comfortable with moving a little bit? Anybody have any injuries I need to worry about? No? Okay, so y'all are going to go over to the rack, and you are going to grab a 10-pound plate, and you're going to come back down, and you're going to lie face down, and you're going to put the plate on your back. If you need help, I can help you with that. 10-pound plate. I hope the audio is, hello, are there?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the board, so
You're awesome. You are going to lie down on your belly, and you're going to put the plate on your back. That's why you're only getting a 10-pound plate. Lie on your, are you comfortable laying on your belly? Put the plate on your back. If you need help, let me know. And then you're going to either put your hands so you can rest on your forehead, or find a comfortable position. So this is called crocodile breathing. And the reason that we're doing this is because we often have a really hard time breathing in 360 degrees. And this is a really great tactical feedback to help you understand. When I say breathe in 360, I want you to be expanding into your back, into your chest, and out towards your ribs. So for the next 2 minutes, you are going to put some serious work in to make that plate rise. And how do I do that? By expanding my lungs up towards the plate as I take that deep breath into my belly, into my ribs. You're going to get nice and relaxed. And I want to see all these plates moving. See if you can move. Nobody's plates are moving. You all have strong back muscles, but especially with CrossFit and lifting, our back muscles get really, really tight, and that can restrict the ability to be able to breathe in 360 degrees. There you go. Annie's winning right now, team. I want you to relax, but also I get hyped up. All right, Shelby, I see your plate rising. Crystal, how we doing? So I want to see how, can you see how Annie's plate is moving? Can you make your plate move? Yeah, there you go. What'd you say? We are taught to suck in, and that is the antithesis of what we need to be doing. How we doing, Lizzie? My butt doesn't breathe. Move that plate. There you go. How you doing, Jennifer? There There you go. So the plate again is something to give you that tactile feedback. I said tactical. Tactile feedback. But in general, so this is called crocodile breathing, and it's just laying face down. This is something really great to do once a day, twice a day, especially if you feel really stressed, because it alleviates all the tension that we hold in our backs. Okay, so now you're going to take those plates off and you're going to come onto your belly. And I had you guys do that first because now we're going to do 360 breath. So 360 breath, when I'm standing and I'm breathing, I should be initiating with my belly, and I want to breathe deep into my pelvic floor. I want to expand my ribs out. I want to expand my back out. I'm trying to be a cylinder and not just breathe from here, or a lot of us want to breathe just through our chest, right? So now you guys are going to pop over onto your backs, and you're going to have your legs bent. The reason that we bend our legs is because it's much easier to have that nice neutral spine. So you're going to stay relaxed here. Now your goal is you're going to take 10 very slow, deep breaths. And I'm not worried about, how engaged my core is, but rather I want you to focus on, you're going to breathe through your belly first, and I want you to expand down into your pelvic floor. So your pelvic floor is the base where our legs attach. You're going to take nice deep breath into the belly, into your pelvic floor, finish in your chest, and then expand out into the floor like you're pushing into that plate. 10 nice deep breaths. So this is prepping us to have that core engaged for all the other fun stuff that we're going to do. This is also something that is very beneficial to do every single day, especially before training, to check in with your tension, your back. This will relieve a tight back in and of itself. Good. 10 nice, deep belly breaths. Big expand. You should be blowing that belly up. The antithesis of sucking in. You're pretending you're pregnant right now. Big belly breaths. You have permission to expand and take up space. Sorry, there's no music. We get canceled on YouTube. Also, you notice I have not said the F word once yet. Woohoo! PR! Yeah. Does that feel good? These should feel really nice. It's just an opportunity to kind of slow down a little bit. Good. When you are done with your 10, give me a thumbs up so I know we can move on. You're fine. It's really hard to count to 10, Kimmy. All right. So you're going to stay in this relaxed position. And now we're going to talk about some of the things we're looking for in a disconnected pelvic floor. So we have this opportunity to connect deep to it. Now, I want you to assess. So when I have an engaged pelvic floor, when I have an engaged core, I can feel these core muscles on. So right now, you guys are going to suck your belly button in, and it's not this like trying to have a flat stomach, but by sucking my belly button into the ground, I communicate to my deep core muscles that I want them to be on. Okay, so you're going to suck that belly button in just gently, and you should feel a slight tension in your lower abdominals. Now from here, I want you to take 5 deep breaths, and what we're going to assess is, can I keep my core engaged, but then can I take a breath in the correct pattern? And if I feel my ribs flare up, if I feel my glutes clench, if I feel my pelvic floor clench, right, then I'm experiencing some dysfunction or dysregulation in my breath. Does that make sense, everybody? So you're sucking in that deep core, and then you're paying attention. You can put your hand on your belly. We should be able to keep that core nice and engaged, and then that mid ab into the chest is going to be rising. How you doing? I don't see a lot of movement there. How big can you make it? Yeah, let me see your belly. This would be pregnant. So suck this in. Oh, you have your, suck that in a little bit. And then can you take a breath from here? Yeah. So I would love to see you expand this even more. Good. We feel our pelvic floors on and our deep core muscles on a little bit. You feel it more in the chest. Yeah, I'm watching you breathe. So suck in here just a little bit. Okay, so relax, fully relax. Okay. When I say suck in, it's just, no, stop. It's okay, it's okay. Relax, fully relax. Really take a deep breath in and then blow it all out. Good. Feel that? Okay. Maintain just a little bit of tension. Just draw that in just a little bit. It's not a big one. Now from there, I want you to initiate this first. Better. Good. Initiate this first. Yeah, so you see, so relax. You see how you, yeah, which is very normal. So for you, just doing that breath, starting with the breath or starting with the 360 breath and just making an intentional effort. Right? Our breath always starts from our core. That's really, really important. And especially because we're going to build on that over the next few things. So now we're going to move on. We're going to wake up those deep core muscles a little bit more. You're going to give me, I just call them dead bug legs, but what we're doing is you're going to give me 20 dead bug legs where I've drawn in my deep core. So I've drawn in my belly button. I've engaged my deep core muscles just a little bit. And then my goal is I'm going to pick up my legs. I'm going to try to keep my core as much as possible stacked and on the ground. And then I'm just going to drop my toes. And this is very hard. I struggle with this a lot now that I have slowed things down even more. So when you start to lose your core, and this I'm over exaggerating where my back is coming off a lot, but you can feel the pelvis shift when you start to lose that pelvic control. You're going to let your feet come down, settle for a second, and then draw it back up because we want to train range of motion we have strength in. Does that make sense? So this is, oh, so that's even, okay, so lay down on the ground. So that tells me even more that you're struggling to keep the deep core engaged. So all you're going to do is pick one leg up at a time and then draw it back down. Like right here, the bone itself hurts? Yeah, just a mat? Yeah. So Annie, for you, yeah. So I don't want it shouldn't come out, right? I should be able to draw it in, hold it. Yeah. So if you are experiencing coning or doming, if you're experiencing the ab muscles coming out like this, a little bit of pressure is normal. But if it comes out a ton, that is a direct communication that you're having a hard time keeping your deep core muscles. I should be able to, if I can do this, right? Theoretically, I should be able to lay down on the ground and have this same neutral spine. Oh. Yeah, so make sure we have no bulging whatsoever. So same for you, Lizzie. Suck this in. You're okay. So rest it, suck it in. Good. Keep it engaged. Now we'll go pressure here, just like I'm lifting. Okay, now lift legs up. Better. Oh, lost it. Yeah, so even a little bit of protrusion in that, those mid abs is going to be an indicator that you're losing your deep core muscles, right? And if we have a hard time, think about, you're only controlling your legs in a really relaxed state right now. If we have a hard time doing this, then I ask you to go squat 200 pounds or run or jump or do just wall balls, and all of a sudden you understand why I pee, why it hurts, why my knees hurt, things like that. Okay, when you're done with those 20, you can go ahead and relax, rest. So even if we weren't successful in hitting all 20 of those unbroken, we've woken up those deep core muscles. So we have the turtle shell that everybody talks about are going to be the ones that you get from doing your like GHD sit-ups, right? Our TVA, our deep core muscles, our transverse abdominis, are the muscles that help stabilize everything, and they're the ones that are often the most neglected. So engaging my pelvic floor and then asking my deep core muscles to work keeps everything in front doing what it's supposed to do. And my back doesn't hurt, and blah, blah, blah. Good? Feel okay? We got work to do? Yeah, it's super hard. That's why I love dead bugs. Okay, so now you guys are going to come on up to a standing position, and we're going to squat. So this is the next piece of your assessment. So for your squat, with women, we often do this, right? Or we have a butt wink at the bottom and we lose our pelvic control. Why this matters is because if I can't air squat, keeping my deep core engaged, being able to control my pelvis, then when I go to have a heavy load, I'm either going to have a prolapse, I'm going to have peeing, I'm going to have, potentially even pooping, or I'm going to hurt my back, right? So you guys are going to give me 6 to 8, but the goal here is everybody feel their deep core muscles right now. You feel your lower abs engaged and on. Okay, you're going to move slow enough that when you go down, I see no loss of tension here, okay? No dumping into that lower back. We're going to keep that neutral spine, and your goal is, can I keep that neutral spine, squat down to the ground? Can I still feel my deep core muscles? And then stand back up. 6 to 8 of them. Nice and slow and controlled. Don't lose your back. Hi, right? I know. It's like, because we all do the hey, and it's like, okay, and then you're like, I don't know why my back hurt doing 50 air squats. So we lost it. You're okay. So stand all the way up. Sorry, I'm going to touch you without permission. Engage this, okay? Keep this engaged. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Good, stand back up. There you go. You still have a little bit of loss at the bottom. Yes, much better. Good, and depth here, despite the fact that we're CrossFitters and I want to no rep you for not squat below parallel, the depth here doesn't matter. Yeah, so do it again because you're losing it too. Good, 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 and come back up. Good. So we really, our tendency when we squat is we want to do this, and it's a whole bunch of reasons we're accommodating that, right? Our thoracic is tight, our hips are tight, our ankles are tight. So we're trying to hit that range of motion with those limitations. But if I focus first on my deep core muscles being engaged, then everything I do builds on that. It is literally the foundation of our house, and we're taught it's a medical thing instead of a muscle thing, right? It's a muscle thing. So now we have built on it. We're going to go into the hardest one. So you're going to go down onto the ground. And what we've done is experienced different ranges of motion with our pelvic floor. And can I move through these different ranges of motion with control, right? We're moving pretty slow here. We'll add some dynamic in a minute. You guys are going to give me either a bear hold or a quadruped opposite, okay? The bear hold is, again, deep core muscles, lift the knees up, and it's not way up here, it's here. And now, can I hold this position for 20 to 30 seconds, maintaining that deep core? It's going, just that quadruped position is going to light your core up. If you feel like that is super easy, then you're going to try the opposite arm, opposite leg. Most important thing here is we're not doing this. We're not sway back donkeys, right? We're tucking that pelvic floor in. Yeah, and then go ahead and lift those legs, lift those knees. Good luck lifting legs. Good. So we're getting a little sway back here. So you're going to tuck this just in. There you go. You feel the difference? Good for 20 to 30 seconds. And you're overpronating. So drop those. Yes, there you go.
But then I feel I think I overdo.
So you're compensating.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I do that, I feel like my more doming happens.
Coning. You don't dome. Yeah. Good. Hold that position. It's spicy, right? Oh, your arms. Well, that's the other thing. We've done like 20 to 30 seconds. Go ahead and come down and rest. So for us with CrossFit and the sports we do, if we find that our shoulders, our hands, our wrists get really, really tired, our movement is always core to extremity. So if this is weak, other things end up having to compensate as a result, right? If I go up and I kick up into a handstand and my core is super fatigued and weak, then my arms are going to take the brunt of it. And then ultimately the weakest point breaks down first. Okay. Why this matters so much. All right. Everybody okay? Anybody needs to go to the bathroom? Everybody feeling good? Good. Okay. So now we're going to move on. We've done an assessment. We're going to move on to some exercises. We're going to talk a little bit about the anatomy, and we'll do a retest at the end with some exercises. So I drew this beautiful picture. This is me being a phenomenal artist. So our pelvic floor, we have our hip bones, our pubic bone, and our sits bone or our tailbone. And then our pelvic floor is this group of muscles in between, right? And we have our vagina, tee-hee-hee, and our anus. So why our pelvic floor for us matters so much is because our pelvic floor is designed to spread apart for giving birth, right? And whether you've given birth or not, it doesn't matter. It is designed in such a way to spread. So 1 in 3 women, so what do we have? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 3 to 4 of us are walking around right now with pelvic floor dysfunction to some degree, right? It's just normal, and it's not normal, it's common. And again, and we're taught that it's a medical thing and not so much a muscle thing that we have control over, but you just experienced how much control you have over it just by breath in and of itself. So your diaphragm sits down here. Your diaphragm is responsible for moving your lungs. It's directly connected to your pelvic floor, your glutes, your deep core muscles, and your breath, okay? We're not going to go super deep into the anatomy, but you can go home and look at all the muscles that come up if you really want to know deep function. So our pelvic floor muscles are responsible for our continence. So they're responsible for allowing us to to pee and poop, right? And it squeezes and releases based off of what we need to do. Holding your pee, holding your poop. Core stability, pelvic floor muscles are literally the foundation that the house is built on. If this is weak, then everything else becomes weak as a result. And then organ support. If you've ever experienced a prolapse or known someone with a prolapse, if the pelvic floor becomes weak, then truly things start to come out those holes because you don't have that support to be able to keep everything up, right? What normal feels like. Even if we are heavy lifting CrossFitters, we are not supposed to have a ton of back pain. We're not supposed to have a ton of hip pain. We're not supposed to have pain when we have intercourse. Normal is supposed to feel like you have awareness of your pelvic floor. You're supposed to have control over it, and it's supposed to feel relaxed. I love the communication of our pelvic floor as a fist, okay? Most of us tend to have tight and weak pelvic floors. And a lot of the incontinence comes from if I am clenching my fist and then I go and I tell you to do something and I tell you to squeeze harder. If you're already squeezing your fist, you can only squeeze it so hard, right? And then if I'm moving and I don't have control, this is a weaker fist than this, or this is a weaker fist than this is a weaker fist than this, right? This is your hips moving. Does that make sense? And then if I'm constantly squeezing it, how stressed out are you going to be all day long? And this is most of us are walking around with our pelvic floors like this. So being able to relax it and engage with it, ask it to do what you want it to do, be mobile in it. So flexibility is being able to hit that end range. Mobility is being able to hit strength in that end range, right? So I want a mobile pelvic floor. So if you're comfortable, show of hands, who pees their pants when they do double unders? Sometimes? Yeah? No? You're fine. You're like, my pelvic floor is made of steel, baby. So when it comes to CrossFit, we experience a lot of dysfunction with running, jumping, painful jumping, squats. We feel the pressure, right? And we were talking about this earlier. We're going to talk about it a little bit more in depth, but we're often taught by men how to brace. And men they have an extraordinarily strong pelvic floor because first off, they only have one hole aside from their urethra. Secondly, their hole and their entire floor is not designed to spread apart, right? Like we're literally designed, our hips go wee and wee. They've got solid, nice, right? And our Q angle, this isn't something that's often talked about, but our hip angle, it's called our Q angle, our hips relative to our knees. A lot of us have very wide hips. This puts stress on that pelvic floor, right? So in CrossFit, we're taught to brace, and they say like this, right? And that's the antithesis of what you want to do, because what does this do? I already have a pelvic floor that's stretchy, and then all of a sudden I've just bore down on it, and now I go and squat, and then, I don't know what's going to happen. So we need to learn how to connect breath to movement and learn how to strengthen our deep core muscles so that I can control this pelvis and I can breathe in conjunction with my pelvis and my pelvic floor so I can move without anything happening. So running doesn't hurt, jumping doesn't hurt, peeing my pants when I do double unders. All right, so we're gonna break off and we're gonna go over to the wall and we're gonna do some breath work, warm up, and we're gonna see if we can engage that core a little bit deeper. And then we're gonna do some retest, okay? And we're gonna talk about things like, everybody has sneakers on? Do you do double unders? No, do you jump rope at all? No, you gotta come to CrossFit. So we're gonna talk about how to control our pelvic floor when we do squats, how to brace, how to do jumping and double unders without hurting, how to run without hurting, and then we'll break off, and if we have any questions, then we'll talk some more about hormones. Cool? All right, come on over to the wall. If you need to use the restroom or take a break or get some water. Your bench. We'll wait for. Jennifer has to have her bench.
I can share mine.
What your husband said? No, he didn't make you come to this, but what was your thought process for coming?
Yeah, working on pelvic floor. Being 19 months postpartum, I realized during delivery, holy shit, I actually don't know what I'm doing in this bed delivering this baby, and I thought I did. So yeah. Pelvic floor is a big thing that I wish I had known prior to pregnancy.
Yeah, it all gets ripped apart, and then they're like, "Good luck," and now you have this. No. You're how far along? 6.5. I thought you said 6 weeks, and I was like, no, she's. Oh. Yeah, you're a little big for 6 weeks, 6.5 months. Do you know what you're having? Oh, that's exciting. 100%. All right, so we're gonna come over to the wall, and you guys are gonna lay down onto the ground, and you're gonna start building that pelvic floor control right now. So the wall is a phenomenal place because you're going to anchor your legs and you're going to connect your hamstrings to your foot movement. So if I dig my heels into the wall, I can feel my hamstrings come on. From here, you're going to intentionally let that pelvic floor go, and you're going to get a nice rounded back. And then you're going to roll your back and you're going to try to hit that hollow as much as possible. You're going to give me 10 of these. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to feel, my deep core muscles have control. of my pelvis. Does that make sense? And I lost tension, but I want you to be mindful of trying as much as possible to keep those hamstrings a little bit engaged as you move. So it's not just like this. Cool? All right, come on to the floor. Or, yeah. Is there space?
We'll make space. There's still one leg on each of these.
Yeah, you can put, you're not sticking. So we're trying to be a 90-90. Yep, so you want to put a little bit of tension into your heels so that your legs are engaged. And you'll find as you go into an arch position that you'll lose a little bit of hamstring control. And now you're going to arch that back and get it off of the ground as much as possible. And then you're going to roll to hollow, and you're going to give me 10 of those. And it should just be from your pelvis. And if you find that these are hard, then it will make a lot of sense. Why do I have a hard time when I'm running and jumping? Big arch, big hollow, overextension, underextension. I don't know, there's other words that I need, but I'm lacking them right now. And it's really good. So can we shoot your butt a little bit closer to the wall? A little more, a little more. There you go. Good, good. And then I'm going to touch you under. I want come up. So keep your hips on the ground. Yeah, big. And then yeah. So a lot of your so that tells me that if you find that your back hurts a lot, especially as we're doing these deep core muscles, deep core movements, that tells me that your back has been overcompensating for not great core control, which is normal, like super normal. 10 of them. This also should feel good as you move through it. It should open your hips up. He's being excellent.
He just wants to be always.
Good. How's your back feeling? Good? Okay. So when you guys have done 10 of those, you can rest for just a second. And then when you're ready, you're going to find that neutral position. So we've just worked on dropping our hips, right? And getting this range of motion and waking up the control. So you're going to find a neutral spine. Does everybody know what a neutral spine means? We're going to have that knees bent at 90 and back should be flat on the ground. And with this position, what I'm looking for with a neutral spine is I should see no distension in your abdomen. Your belly button will be sucked in a little bit, but there should be no distension. Now, you're being asked to have a little bit more active position with your legs on the wall. You're going to give me 5 deep breaths with that active core. Trying to draw those heels down just a little bit so I'm nice and active. Remember, the breath comes from belly into pelvic floor and then chest, ribs. Oh, so Crystal, go ahead and relax. So I want you to, even though this is sucked in, I still want you to start from here. There you go. Then finish here, then finish here. There you go. Was that hard? Good. 5 nice deep belly breaths. And then you're going to go back to that neutral spine with that active core and just rest for a second. But you still should feel your deep core muscles on. Fun fact, our abs are supposed to be 25% engaged all the time. We should be able to have that deep core connection all the time. Now, from here, you're only lifting one leg at a time. So we did some deep core activation on the ground, right? We woke everything up. Now we've loosened everything up and we've really deeply connected to our pelvic floor and to our deep core muscles. Now you're going to draw one foot up at a time and bring it towards your knee. You're not going to let that other foot move, and you're going to use that deep core muscle to draw your knee towards your face. Put it back down. And then put the other one, switching. You're going to give me 20 of those. That hurt your back?
Yeah. My back always hurts.
This is why. Yeah, so we'll work on it. So for you, so only go, I don't want pain. Only find the range of motion that you can move where things don't hurt. So I would only have you move it. So keep this nice and tight. Oh, no, relax your chest. Here, engaged. There you go. That's nice and engaged. Good. And then just move one leg a little bit and put it back. Good. And then another one. Good. And put it back. Good. And when I need to breathe, yeah, I breathe here. This is where it'd be nice to have music, huh? Lizzie, suck in the belly. There you go. What'd you say? Don't come for you? This feels good. That feels good. Can you feel your core being used?
Just remembering to breathe into there and not up here.
1000%. Our chest is the finisher. Good. This should feel good. Feel good? Your back feel okay?
I'm losing blood.
Yeah. When you've done 20 of those, you guys are going to come up and you're going to just come to standing because we're going to move into a little bit more of a dynamic. But what we've done here is we've continued to build on what we talked about with the breath control and dysfunction. So one of the most important things to remember, especially as CrossFitters, is if we go to kip, push anything, and we have that overextended, the overextension can 100% be a communication of dysfunction of our pelvic floor. Because again, if this isn't strong, where do I have to find my strength, right? So you guys are going to give me some jumps, and they're just going to be little jumps. But one of the things, like if you've been in my CrossFit classes, a lot of girls, when they jump, when we're working on our double unders, when we're working on jumping in general, we tend to do this, okay? And then we also tend to jump all over the place, and we don't have our breath connected to our jumping. So when you breathe in, pelvic floor relaxes. When I breathe out, pelvic floor contracts, okay? So now thinking about that, I want you to do 3 breaths, and I want you to connect that feeling. If I breathe in, I can feel everything drop, right? When I breathe out, I'm zipping everything up, okay? When I jump, it's really important to recognize that, because if I'm holding my breath, what's going to happen? Everything is, all loosey-goosey in there, right? Including the ability to control my pelvis, which if I can't control my pelvis, then it's like shaking stuff up in there as well. That makes sense? Okay. So now you guys are going to try to connect breath to jumping. And breath to jumping, please nobody pass out. I'm not looking for, right, because you will pass out with that. But rather, I want you to be mindful of where would I think to breathe out and breathe in when I'm jumping, so that I can keep my pelvic floor engaged. So I draw my pelvis in, and this is forever after when you guys are moving. You always want to go, now I've contracted, okay? Now, can I breathe with that contracted pelvis, right? Breathe out always gives me an engaged core. Does that make sense? Always draws things up. Even if I have dysfunction, it still draws everything up, even if it's not drawing up a lot, okay? And it's not squeezing and kegling and oh my God, it's just a little bit of engagement. So when I'm jumping, right? So that I can keep my pelvis engaged as I'm jumping. That's going to be the number one thing to help you guys with making sure that you don't pee. We're going to build on that in a minute, but come off the wall so you have some space. Are you okay? You can jump as much as you feel comfortable. So pelvis is neutral, just like on the wall. You know you have control of it. Pelvis is neutral, right? Deep core engaged. I want you to start with little jumps and see if you can feel your deep core muscles and be mindful of your breathing. Shouldn't hurt. Off my toes. Nice and relaxed. Good. How'd that feel? That feel good? So, fun fact, when we jump, your knees shouldn't hurt, your hips shouldn't hurt, your back shouldn't hurt, nothing should hurt. But a lot of time, again, 1 in 3 of us have pelvic floor dysfunction. Everything is really tight. If this is my suspension, if these muscles are tight, when I jump, something else is going to take the brunt of it, right? And especially when we're learning to do double unders, we often hold our breath and then we jump all over the place. So it's a whole bunch of things at once. When you guys are jumping, when you're running, when you're jumping, when you're doing double unders, when you're lifting, you always stop before you're going to pee. We never stress our pelvic floors to the point that things start to fall apart because it is a muscle that is communicating, I am weak and I can no longer do my job, right? We do our breath before class. We get everything nice and relaxed. And then when I get into that Metcon, especially if I'm in a heightened state, things are going to be tighter because I'm in a heightened state. We have this thing called the vagus nerve that connects from our brain down into all of our organs, and it is a master nerve. If that nerve gets overstimulated, it tells everything to tighten up and be stressed, okay? So when you guys are doing anything where I might start to feel pain, discomfort, peeing, anything like that, I don't push it to that limit because it is your body telling you it needs you to stop. Cool? Okay. We're going to come out onto the floor and we're going to practice some double under jumps. And we're going to see how those feel. And we're going to see if we can connect our breath to our double under jumps, which are bigger jumps and need to be more controlled. Everybody comfortable with that? Cool. Come on out. Oh, and I didn't even think about it, but actually these will be great. So I use plate toe touches as a scale for double unders because it gets you the same conditioning stimulus. So if you want to practice these instead, but we're thinking about that deep core engaged to start, right? So I'm on, okay? Now I'm breathing and this is engaged. Can I do this? And I'm talking so you know I'm breathing. I'm keeping my pelvic floor stationary and nothing hurts and I didn't pee my pants, okay? You can do that or you can give me some penguin jumps or some double under jumps. But again, it's engaged. Number 1 rule, engage the deep core first, engage that pelvic floor first. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Good, and as soon as you start to feel discomfort, you feel like you're gonna pee your pants, things hurt, you're gonna stop, you're gonna reset. Okay, ladies. Didn't know you were gonna get fitness today. You guys are getting free steps here, so. How'd that feel? Did that feel good? Yeah, did everybody feel good? No, not so much? Huh? It's way harder, but that's what we do is we like this is the suspension of the car and we neglect this poor thing and then we full send and then we have all this shit that happens, sorry YouTube, because of it. I didn't say the F word though, so it's okay. So it is super, super important, like getting in the habit of doing the deep core breathing before you start, doing just like the little activation thing. We're on the ground and we did those dead bug legs. Phenomenal. Takes like less than a minute, but it sets you up. Now you're aware of it and then you get to build on it. Okay, so we're going to go back down to the ground. We're going to talk about engaging our glutes now. So we've woken up our deep core. We've done a little bit of jumping. We're not going to do a ton of double underwork because it's pelvic floor, not CrossFit, even though that makes me sad. But now you guys know for your jumping and your double unders, right? Number one rule is I breathe out and engage that deep core, and then I stop when I'm about to pee. I don't push it, okay? So hop back down onto the ground on your backs. And we're going to talk about your glutes and your deep core because the glute muscles are an integral part of that control. And I stupidly just learned this the other day. Apparently this is a thing that everybody knows to breathe out when you do your glute bridges, and I was breathing in. And fun fact, that's the wrong way to do it. So you're going to give me 10 glute bridges. And when you guys give me that glute bridge, so I breathe in and everything is relaxed, I blow out and I hike my hips up. You're going to pause for 2 seconds at the top. And this should feel a really nice stretch in your hips. And you're going to squeeze those glutes. And now we're building the back end of that pelvic floor connection. Cool? You're going to give me 10 of them. Breathe out. Everything is relaxed. That's all right. So out and up. You'll do it enough like that you'll make the connection and it feels so much better, and you can actually squeeze your glutes at the top. So Kimmy, this will be a phenomenal one for your back. Does it feel good?
It hurts when I'm like in neutral, but when I'm like this, it's fine.
So maybe in neutral, we've got here. So bring your butt down and relax everything. Yeah, so in neutral, see how there's space here? Can you use your core muscles to compress my fingers? Does that hurt your back? Does that feel good? So what you just did is you're even laying down, you're slightly like this, and you engaged your deep core to give yourself a neutral spine. So these exercises, I'm going to show you, I'm going to put it all together for you guys in just a minute of how to do your own little pelvic floor routine. But glute bridges with breath connection are a phenomenal way to open up your hips and to engage your glutes and to just feel good on your lower back. Feel good? Did you just want to learn about your insides? Is that what you needed my drawing?
I specifically asked if we were going to be doing stuff in this class, and you said no, we're going to learn only. And now I've been moving this whole time.
Oh no! I guess I figure this is like gentle relaxation movement. You feel good? You should feel good.
I went full send on the 8 a.m. and the 9:30.
So now you need to down regulate and take deep breaths. So this little pelvic floor, the pelvic floor routine that I really like takes 4 minutes. Doing some deep breaths to connect with your deep core, to connect with your pelvic floor, doing some dead bug legs to activate everything. So doing some glute bridges with breath to open everything up and activate. And now we're going to do my least favorite, but very effective. You guys are going to come over to the rig and you're going to go into a deep squat. Your deep squat is going to be intentionally collapsed. Okay, and that's why you have the rig, because you get to hold on. So you notice that there's rounding on my lower back. I'm just here pooping in the woods, okay? You guys are going to give me 5 to 7 deep breaths. I know, it's true. That's why I tell everybody, You have to squat below parallel so you can poop when you're backpacking. So you guys are going to give me some deep breaths in this position. And this is going to be probably the most profound with connecting with your deep core and your pelvic floor because of the position that your pelvic floor is in right now. But we're going to do the 360 breath. So from here, I'm still expanding into my belly first and then pretending I have that plate on my back. When I blow out, I want you drawing everything up, okay? 5 to 6 here. Nice and relaxed. Yep. Everything is nice and rounded and deep. You doing okay? Yeah, you're around a whole bunch of really fit women, so sorry. She's fit too? Turns out she's like a games athlete and I don't recognize her. So this is a deep squat hold with 360 breath. And again, very phenomenal for you to do in warm-ups just throughout the day, especially if you find that you hold a lot of tension in your hips and lower back. Because breath to pelvic floor connection is everything. Who knew? Or any of them. We're 50% of the demographic, but instead they teach you to brace by pushing out. Yep. It's okay, Annie. We'll get there. Well, and it's also like if you look at the certifications for pelvic floor stuff, it's pre and postnatal, and it's like, you're not having a baby. There's one woman in here that's, I mean, a bunch of you have had babies, but it's like, you're not, oh, you're the other Crystal.
Your children are not genetically related.
You have nephews.
She works in
Oh, that's her. I was like, wait, what? All right, so now we're going to do a little bit of test retest. So the air squat, right, was the hardest movement to do because I need to try to control my pelvic floor. I need to control my deep core. I need to try to have good mechanics. You have woken everything up. Everything is nice and active. Come back out on the floor, and I want you to give me 10 squats. And I want to see if you can move a little bit quicker with those squats, but again, maintaining those really nice deep core mechanics. So breathe out. Make sure that that core is engaged, and you're going to give me 10 squats. Don't lose your pelvis at the bottom. Still losing it a little bit. It's okay. That's why we do this. So suck this in, engage it. So blow out, blow out all your air first. So when I say blow, not like blowing through a straw.
I was just saying, I have a pelvic tilt forward, which is why I'm like, I should probably be doing this way more.
We all do a little bit. So blow. Okay, now engage, tight. Good, good. That's good. Now squat. Don't lose it.
I was like, I'm losing it.
I relate to that so much, though, dude.
So hard to keep my pelvis this way.
Good. So this is something, if you guys find that you have a really hard time being able to control that pelvis, it's something that's really important to work on a regular basis because it builds on everything. So now we're going to talk about bracing because it's something that's very important. So I mentioned it before. When you guys go to brace, and I just did it with Lizzie a little bit, so we want to think about drawing up and zipping in, okay? So it's up and in. It's not, it's, and then my brace comes from here, okay? So blow everything out, draw it up, I feel my deep core on, and then where do I brace? From here, 360. Good. So now I should feel this on, and this should feel super compacted. Now you're going to try to give me 5 squats, and we'll sync breath to brace. So if I come up and I need air, I'm going to take a deep breath and reset at the top, okay? If done right, your abs are already feeling fatigued just with air squats. Feel the difference?
Yes.
Crazy.
I've been fatigued this whole time.
I asked for reviews and you're like, it was an ab workout I didn't sign up for.
I knew it was going to be pelvic floor abs.
It is, but I mean, like, our deep,
That's what we need.
yeah. And I think about like everything you do, like if this is strong, you can do anything because it's core to extremity. If this is weak or you can't control it, like then you get injured, or then you don't develop power or anything like that. All right, go ahead and sit back down. If you guys need to have water break, pee break. Otherwise, we're going to move on to hormones and how hormones connect.
Checking my phone, so I may need to walk her around. Just letting you know.
Oh, an athlete? Oh, cool. How are you doing, Keegan? Your arm? I appreciate you. Have I taught you anything yet? It's so in your face is so hard for me to read. I'm like, are you enjoying yourself or do you hate me right now? All right.
My face looks angry. It means I'm paying attention. That's my paying attention.
I have that face too. I'm not mad. I'm concentrating. All right, everyone. Do you guys are you comfortable on the floor? Do we need benches? You want to? We're going to talk about hormones now. Yeah, we have mats. We can. Do you want to lay down? Is it? Yeah, go put your jacket on. Yeah, no, we're not going to lay down again unless you guys want to. It is. I was cold in here earlier.
I could turn fans off.
Yeah, let's do that. It's true. I forgot about those. I wonder how good this audio is not going to be because I'm yelling. Really? The best comment is she has not said the F word once. I don't think. All right, yet. Still have 30 more minutes. All right, so we are going to talk about hormones now because it all connects to your pelvic floor. And I forgot to reiterate this, but dysfunction does not mean weakness and tight does not mean strong, okay? Dysfunction does not mean that there's inherently something wrong with you. A lot of people, like I have an athlete that was saying she has had a prolapse and she's 28 years old. She's never had a baby, but no one has taught her how to connect her movement to her pelvic floor. And, she's actually a very strong athlete. But because of you have these repeated patterns, and if you continue that repeated pattern, things break down significantly.
I'll add that when I gave birth, so I went through PT and I was too tight. That actually caused a lot more damage, and I didn't know how to relax my pelvic floor muscles. I didn't know that was a thing. I thought it was great to be tight, but that was not what I needed.
And I think the more experience I've had and the more conversations I've had, I think more women walk around with tight because most of the time when something is weak, it defaults to becoming tight because you don't use it. And we are such chest breathers. And even if we belly breathe from here. I was reading an article the other day. Our clothes restrict our ability for us to be able to fully expand our bellies. And then because we have a tendency to suck in, because, you know, I'm supposed to have flat abs, whatever that is, it gets super tight down there. Does yours feel good just doing the relaxing?
Yeah, I'm having to learn to work with my pelvic floor muscles, to relax them, and also just to be able to manipulate them so that they're not always so tight. I wish I had known that before.
Yeah. Yeah, well, just now you know, and then that meme you see on Instagram where the girl is driving away and she's like, just spent 20 minutes telling someone about, you know, blah blah blah. They won't invite me back for that brunch, but now they know. And that's like, that's your pelvic floor. So let's talk about that, because the hormones, I have learned that to be the best coach for women, I have to know about hormones because of how much fluctuation we have. And especially, I didn't draw my picture, but if you look, our hormone cycle kind of looks like this. And that's ovulation. It looks like boobs. And then there's like it's like testosterone does like this, and then estrogen goes like this, which, no joke, it's like, well, it's really funny. It's like you look at it, and I actually did a pretty good job. Usually I have something I go off of, but you look at it and you're like, this is Shauna on day 1, and Shauna's a new person on day 2, and Shauna's a different person on day 3, and who is she on day 4? And it's like, no wonder we're so nuts all the time. But when it comes to our pelvic floor, it matters a ton because of all these rises and fluctuations and changes. So we have, our menstrual cycle is broken down into 4 weeks. We have your start of your period. Your bleed is day 1 of your menstrual cycle. That's follicular phase, week 1. You have follicular phase, week 2. During week 2, right around here, days 14 to 16 roughly, is when you ovulate. And then you go into luteal phase. Your body prepares for that egg to become fertilized. Your uterus thickens up. And then if implantation doesn't happen, or excuse me, if fertilization doesn't happen, then I bleed, and then I start the cycle all over, okay? Week 1 is our most normal of our cycles, our hormone production, where things are the least chaotic. Once I've done like the first few days when I'm not bleeding super heavy, leading up to ovulation, I don't really have to worry about much from a pelvic floor standpoint, a laxity standpoint, a performance standpoint. In fact, once the prostaglandins, which are part of the inflammatory process of your period, once those are out of your system, then from like day 3 to 4 of your follicular phase up until ovulation, your power production is on, you feel really good, mood is mostly stabilized, blah, 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 right? When I hit ovulation, I have a rise in a couple of hormones, and one specifically, so I have a peak in estrogen, but I have a peak in a hormone called relaxin, which is what you're experiencing right now. Relaxin is produced both when I ovulate, and then also when I become pregnant and for giving birth, and then even after while I'm still breastfeeding. Relaxin is a hormone just like it sounds. It literally makes us more relaxed. And if you've seen the statistic, women are 3 to 5 times more likely to experience an ACL tear compared to men. It's one of the reasons is because of our hormones, and because of this hormone relaxin during ovulation, I become more loosey-goosey, right? Loosey-goosey doesn't just mean my quad muscles. It means my pelvic girdle. It's going to affect my pelvic floor. I'm going to have more laxity. So if I already have a harder time accessing those deep core muscles, controlling those deep core muscles, right? In laxity, think of it as normally my muscle fibers are nice and tight. And if I have laxity, I'm a little bit more spread apart. That connection isn't super strong. So I don't have as much control, right? So it's really, really important. It's funny because ovulation is one of the best times to max out because testosterone is peaking. So you know, if you ever feel like you want to murder someone, it's not you, it's your testosterone. Don't murder anybody. It's you're raging. It's testosterone rage. But it's also one of the times that you need to be the most careful because it is easier to get injured because you don't have as great a connection to your body. So then I just spend a little bit more time doing that warm up / activation stuff, the deep breaths, the core stuff, the stuff on the wall, right? The glute bridges, so that I have that greater connection. And then you're golden. In your luteal phase, weeks 1 and 2, so ovulation into luteal 1, luteal 2, you might notice you have cramping, and that cramping, that inflammation can actually contribute to pelvic floor dysfunction, and from a whole host of reasons. So it literally causes physical inflammation, which irritates the tissue lining. And then you have that vagus nerve isn't giving you the right signals coming back. In luteal phase, weeks 1 and 2, progesterone interferes with a whole bunch of stuff, makes us more sedate, makes us more relaxed. That's why if they say like train through your cycle, go do yoga in PMS week. That's not a thing, by the way. You still need to train every day of your cycle, but maybe you don't want to PR that week. But from a pelvic floor standpoint, you're experiencing more fatigue and more inflammation. And fatigue is muscle endurance, right? Like I was saying, I liken it to that clenched fist. If I'm really, really, like right now, I'm caffeinated, I'm hyped, I'm passionate, right? This is really easy for me. If there was like 2 hours of sleep, cranky, I'm like, right? Does that make sense? Fatigue creates a huge impact on our pelvic floor and the ability to control our pelvic floor. So just being aware of that. And it isn't, I don't train. It's how do I honor and respect where my body's at? How do I listen to my body? And then how do I adjust my training accordingly? If I know that during ovulation, I'm more loosey-goosey and I don't have pelvic floor control to begin with, probably don't try to do 500 double unders unbroken. You are gonna pee your pants. Like even if you don't, Keegan, you are going to probably, because you don't have as good a control. And the same thing for like if you're going on a heavy back squat and you always hurt your back when you squat, you're hurting your back when you squat. One of the number one contributors to that is not having deep core control, right? Don't squat heavy during ovulation if you know you have a tendency to hurt your back. Does that make sense? We just check in with our bodies. All right. Who here is 35 years old plus? Okay. So we get the joy of, and for all of you guys, so perimenopause and menopause is going through it myself. It's one of the craziest, most wild rides. And it's really interesting because a lot of the symptoms that I thought I was experiencing in perimenopause were actually being caused by a tight pelvic floor. Like I've personally gone down this journey of a tight pelvic floor in the last month where I am blown away by blown away. Like I was having an intense gag reflex, and it turns out I had such a tight pelvic floor because I tried to come back so fast to training that it was causing my vagus nerve to be overstimulated and causing me to have this gag reflex. I was just gonna say it. I almost was gonna. I have 18 life. Who the f? So you can do it. So in perimenopause, because our estrogen is declining, we have elevated cortisol as a result of that. But then we also experience, our poor little cells are just so sad because they love estrogen, and then they're being denied this magical hormone. As a result, we have decreased collagen synthesis. So collagen is in all of our tissues, and it helps with just strong bones, strong muscles. And we have decreased tissue elasticity, which makes leaking and prolapse even more common, right? So if you already have a weak core, disconnected core, pelvic floor dysfunction, and then you're going into perimenopause and you're trying to do what you're used to doing, you're probably going to experience more symptoms because we're already kind of disconnected. And then our nervous system is more reactive because cortisol is up. It's really fun. And so that has the consequence of making this even more tight. If you are stressed, I guarantee your pelvic floor is tight because everything gets tight as a result, right? So in perimenopause, we're having more tight pelvic floor dysfunction. We're probably experiencing more hip and back pain. And then this was an interesting one that I recently learned about. So we have decreased recovery time in perimenopause and menopause because of the declining estrogen, which causes pelvic floor fatigue. And I hadn't made that connection, that if my bicep muscle isn't able to recover as fast, I'm just like, okay, I don't do as many pull-ups. It hadn't really occurred to me that my pelvic floor muscles couldn't recover either. And then, if I try to do like heavy squats one day and then, heavy jerks the next day, but my internal muscles haven't had a chance to recover, I'm going to not be able to be as powerful, or my back is probably going to hurt. Hips are going to hurt. Does that make sense? It's pretty fascinating. Okay, that is it. What questions do you have? Do you have any questions? Oh, directly relates. So if you look at, this thing is like having a mouse on my freaking, I gotta fix this. Hopefully it doesn't mess with me. It's like, so our hip flexors, if you look at your anatomy, so fun fact, everything is actually attached internally. And if you look at your hip anatomy, it all comes up and it's all connected to your pelvic floor. If I have an overextended back, right, this is stretching everything out and it becomes weak as a result, right? And then when I move, I often am going to default. We always default to the biggest, strongest muscles doing the work. Does that make sense? So my deep core is supposed to help me move and do the brunt of it. But if it doesn't come on, what ends up working? This guy and this guy. Does that make sense? So if you can mobilize, and we didn't really talk about it. This is where I'm like a tightwad, but so there's actually, you can have an internal pelvic floor mobilizer, and it's like a wand. This is where I go tee hee hee. But you can go have a internal pelvic floor exam, and they're amazing. They're extraordinarily educational. And one of the things that they'll go in is they will test your hamstring tightness internally, right? And they actually like move around in there and will tell you this is where your hamstring attaches inside, this is where your hips attach. If you can take the wand and you can go up there and you can mobilize it just like we would use a lacrosse ball. But then it opens everything up, and then things can move independent instead of being like stuck together. Does that make sense? Do you usually have tight hips? Yeah. So when you were doing the breath, did you notice that when you tried to breathe that you felt more restriction trying to breathe into that hip? Yeah. So for you, I would really think about, so doing the knees bent and making sure you have that neutral spine. And then when you take a breath, think about breathing into that hip muscle and seeing if you can ask you can ask your muscles to relax. Seeing if you can ask that muscle to relax, extending out, and see if you can make that connection. That makes sense. And then the more did you say you pee your pants when you do double unders? No. What have you experienced with pelvic floor dysfunction? Anything? Did you when you were doing the pelvic floor stuff, did you have a hard time with the dead bug legs and keeping your core tight? No? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see if, it could be other things. Yeah. It's not, unfortunately, it's not a panacea of magic, but other questions?
I notice mine on the spot. I know when I've hit my max because I myself on my spot. And then I know I'm on my max, which is not great. But like my clean or my front squat or even my back squat, I know I'm like, I cannot do more because
And I could see it, like if you have a hard time moving your legs just on the ground like that, then, and it's like, well, you're not going to stop squatting, right? So then you have to add in the pelvic floor stuff.
What do you? I've noticed for me, like my psoas is very tight, but I wonder if there's any connection to that.
1000%. Like, you have a degree in kinesiology, don't you? Yeah. If you go online and you look at the pelvic floor models, and like there are some that are more, more detailed, and you look at where everything is connected, 1000%. And think about it. Like, again, I like the fist analogy. If this is tight all the time, everything else is going to be tight as a consequence, right? This is going to be tight and probably start nagging. My elbow joint will start to bother me. Eventually, I'm going to feel it all the way up here. Kinetic chain. Absolutely. If your pelvic floor is tight, you're going to feel the effects in your hips and back. You can't not. What did you have questions for with the hormone stuff? The joy of perimenopause?
I have an overactive thyroid, so that messes up my hormones a lot too.
1000%. So you have an underactive. You have hypothyroidism? So
I feel like I have the opposite symptoms of what I have, but it is over. I have like nodules that make too much thyroid hormone.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, you should be cracked out like you're on caffeine all the time.
No, I'm not.
I wonder if you have Hashimoto's.
My sister does.
Yeah. I would look into that. Yeah. Any other questions? No?
Yeah, I don't know if it's safe for video or not. But, you mentioned earlier.
Just don't say the F word.
About any activity that you do that the moment you feel like peeing, it's probably a pelvic floor kind of issue. So I thought to myself, what about intimacy? A lot of times we're given the tip that, oh, if you're gonna pee, actually keep going. But I'm actually wondering now if it's actually the opposite, like actually that maybe women are experiencing pelvic floor issues during sex.
So anytime you pee is not by default a pelvic floor dysfunction. Peeing is a symptom of pelvic floor dysfunction, but you're right, I don't know how much. So the stimulation of our clitoris when we're having sex stimulates that pee urge in a lot of women. But it could be a combination of that stimulation combined with an extraordinarily tight pelvic floor, and that could be irritating it. So have you had a internal pelvic floor exam?
I did, yes.
And what did they tell you about?
Just really tight. It's very hard to relax.
The pee urge with us too when we have sex is and I don't know, this is I haven't done enough research on it, but it's also supposed to be part of like the clearing, like we're encouraged to pee after you have sex to make sure everything gets cleared out. So yeah, it's probably a combination of things. I would try, Boris is gonna love this. I would try doing some intentional pelvic floor relaxation beforehand and see, and because then you might enjoy it more too, because it's more just like everything is relaxed and ready to receive versus super tight.
Yeah, I actually had a PT appointment that gave me that wand that you're talking about. I forgot what you called it, but they basically said anytime thinking about intimacy, use that to relax yourself rather than clenching, tightening, because that's actually where all of my delivery scars was just because I was so tight. And yeah, tight does not mean strong, and that's what I thought it meant. So wrong.
It's logical. It is logical, but yeah, it's very common, especially because we sit a lot too. Any other questions? No?
What else have you noticed? I feel like I think about my mom all the time. I wish she had some of this stuff because I think about more stuff is coming out about like perimenopause. But what are you noticing? I guess that like have you ever noticed anything where you're actually like improving versus like where you were at maybe when you were pre?
You mean being in perimenopause?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, you don't have to be terrified. You do. You're 20. Well, I know for you, it is hard because it's like it's such a conversation right now, and it's like you see the symptoms and you're like, you're gonna lose your hair on your head, you're gonna grow it on your face, you're gonna get fat, your boobs are gonna go away, you're gonna have and you're like, I quit, I'm not doing any of that. So it's funny because like being so in the world now, a lot of my symptoms are like really manageable, and they're not as bad as I was worried they were going to be. And I think just making sure, like, insulin sensitivity is huge, so making sure that you are sensitive to the insulin you produce, being mindful of like the quality carbohydrate you consume, stress management, doing all the sleep stuff. Probably sleep is the worst, but it no. I don't think I'm like, my mom didn't have it horrible, so I think I'm gonna like, that's also like based off of your mom, a lot of it, like
I don't think she slept for. I like remember like, you're stressed. I you need. But she had it really bad, and I think that's why, like, really bad hot flashes. She just never slept, and I think that was. She was always stressed, so but like I think she just like it was really bad for her. So
you won't have it that bad. No, and like the stress response. So cortisol and melatonin are primary hormones that control sleep, right? If cortisol is elevated throughout the day, then it inhibits the ability to produce melatonin and when you produce melatonin. So like if you're stressed out till 6 p.m., well, your melatonin is start to be produced around 2 p.m. I've just delayed that for 4 hours. I'm not going to bed at 9 o'clock. I'm going to luck out if I get to go to bed at 11 or 12, right? So like you're already in the health and wellness field. You're connected to your body. Your nutrition is good. You move your body. You get your sunshine. You're smart about like your evening routine. Or if you aren't, you will be in the next 10 years. You have...
I understand that's probably like not ideal training until like
you're still so young that you get to get away with it. Yeah, you've got plenty of time. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like I just turned 45. I would take 45 over 25 any day, because I don't give a F what people think anymore. I'm like, I am me. I love me. I've done a lot of work on being this woman, and I'm like, if I have the perimenopause stuff that comes with it, c'est la vie, because like I get to just, yeah. That is huge. I mean, I don't know if you would.
I would take hot flashes in my 40s over being in my 20s every day. Hands down. Yeah, you could.
I know. No.
I feel like there's a lot of fear mongering around menopause. Like I hate that it's like having a moment where it's like women have been having this for thousands of years.
I think the biggest thing that's frustrating and why it's being talked about so much now, especially in our age group, is because we were not talking about this
At all.
We were not talking about this. We didn't have these conversations. So I think a lot of women who are coming into this now, and all of a sudden we're having like this kind of like second puberty, that's what I'm kind of calling it. Yeah. We're kind of going, like, why didn't we get this information?
Yeah.
Like why were we going to have these conversations that we knew we were going to go through all this stuff again, we were going to have all these experiences. And so I think the conversations are being had, not necessarily to be a fear mongering, but to have the dialogue be present, so that your generation, now that you guys are you have an understanding that, hey, this is coming down the road. You guys are going to get here, you're going to understand it. So by the time you get there, it's not going to be a shock. You're going to understand it. But nowadays, like, when you become a teenager, your pre-pubescent age, that's going to happen. Life is, you're going to have this change of like, here's going to come. Like, it's not a scary thing anymore, because it's a big conversation people are having. We want that same thing to be happening for women in the menopause stage, which it just wasn't. Like, it just wasn't a conversation people were having before. And now it is. Now a lot of women are talking about it. They're shocked.
Or what it was talked about was HRT is bad for you and it'll give you breast cancer. Like they botched that study so horribly that it's like, they said don't do it. So like our moms went through it and didn't have HRT, didn't have any support whatsoever. So yeah, And now they call it menopause hormone therapy. Yeah. Yeah. HGH is human growth hormone. Menopause therapy is estrogen and testosterone and progesterone.
Perimenopause and menopause and all this hormone stuff, like it's not scary and it's not gonna be like this whole like death of your life. Like it's not that big a deal. You've been dealing with hormones your whole life already, and you're gonna be dealing with this like more stuff coming on, and it's breaking.
And then you get to not have a period.
Yeah,
That's magical. I'm not there yet by any stretch, but
great. You want to have an open discussion about like how life changes when you get older, so it's just not scary when you get there.
yeah.
No, I agree. I like that thought. But yeah, it's just like, hey, this is gonna happen versus like no one talks about it, and you're like, oh yeah, that happened. Like, keep quiet about it. That's crazy.
Yeah. Or like I think too, a lot of the women that, you know, we're in a bubble because we're CrossFitters, because we're women who focus on health. So you see like the women who don't exercise, don't eat well, you know, don't get outside, have poor relationships, right? So their symptoms, just like every hormone symptom, are magnified significantly because they don't have their health in check, right? Yeah, if you're in control of it, I mean, maybe I will regret saying this in 10 years, but I don't think you're gonna like breeze through it unfazed, but I don't think it has to be, yeah. It'll be annoying. Exactly. It's like, cool. Like I have to pay attention now. I take a 10-minute walk in the morning because it sets my circadian rhythm so that I can fall asleep at night. It's annoying because I don't want to have to take a 10-minute walk in the morning. I want to just get up and do whatever. But it is what it is to make sure that I get my sleep. Yeah. I didn't use it. I made it. It is 1:30 and I made it. I didn't say the F word once. All right. Do we have any other questions? Everybody feel good about this? Did you get what you came here for? Good. Yeah, are you prepared to have, we didn't talk about babies at all. I'm not pre and postnatal yet. That'll be on my certification, or on my list, but you know at least how, so the stuff that we did here, we didn't talk about it, but I'll show it real quick. The butterfly stretch. So happy baby and butterfly stretches are phenomenal for opening up your hips and working on your pelvic floor. Happy baby is, I don't know why it's so embarrassing, but the butterfly stretch for you specifically, just sitting here and then breathing into your belly and letting those hips drop open, and then happy baby. Happy baby. I don't know. Especially as girls, I don't know why that's like, I'm open to receiving. All right. I think that's it. I think, yeah, we good? Awesome. Absolutely, ladies. Thank you for coming. Good job, Keegan, for holding that camera for 90 minutes. Do we have questions on there that I needed to address? No? All right, team. Thank you for watching. We're going to edit it.
Tune in next time.
How many viewers do we have? 10?
At one point, we had 15.
Oh, that's exciting.
And then they would all just disappear.
I know. It's like discouraging, and then I'm like, just don't get caught up in it. I mean, it's long to sit through to not be fully present for.